One more thing before I get going on business. There is a concert here tomorrow night. It's supposed to be on the lawn, but just in case, it's going to be held right here. It's the Northwest Indiana Symphony and the Gary Civic Orchestra. This will be on the table there later, so you can check it out. We've been working on this for several months, and Corey Sharp and her staff from the city have done an outstanding job of putting this together over time. So this is an informational meeting. It's not the end. It's really still towards the beginning. So we're looking to get, we did get some feedback regarding school properties and some other things. They worked all day long on Tuesday. And now there's going to be this presentation, and there'll be subsequent presentations by the staff upcoming. There is some information up here that you're welcome to take if you haven't already. You can take it on the way out. And there's a schedule. There should be, did you all get a schedule? If not, there's several places they're going to be for discussing this, including Food Truck Friday on July 25th from 5 to 6:30, Miller's Farmers Market on August 3rd from 11 to 1, Downtown Gary Marketplace on August 9th from 10 to 12, and there's some designated comprehensive plan discussion hours at City Hall on the first floor on July 30th, August 1st, and August 6th. We will have a Plan Commission meeting with a public hearing on August 21st at 3 p.m. At the Marquette Pavilion right here, just to see where we're at and potentially take action following that meeting. So with that in mind, there's no public comment today. The public comments will be, again, on August 21st at 3 p.m. back here. So with that, I would like to introduce Corey Sharp. Thank you, Corey. I know you've worked very hard on this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We're really very excited to share this plan and our team, MKSK, has done a fantastic job of incorporating the information that you all have shared with us over the last couple months, as well as council, city leadership, and some advocate groups across the way. So this plan is online. It is at gary.gov/planning, and then if you go to the project tab, that is where this plan is at. We will be, as our president said, taking comment over the next 3 weeks. So this is just a rollout of what the plan is, and we will take the public comments from there. I am not going to delay in introducing Mr. Aaron Kowalski with MKSK. They really are the team that really pulled the beautiful graphics together, and we spent hours going through parcel by parcel of the future land use map. And so we're really excited to share this, and then we will spend the next 3 weeks listening to your feedback. So go ahead.
Thanks, Corey. If for whatever reason you can't hear me, raise your hand and I'll try to speak up. So tonight's meeting, information session, we want to provide information on our planning process, tell you a little bit more about how we got to this milestone, why it's important, talk about what we heard from you all, describe the plan framework, describe the future land use, talk about how it's a little different than what the city's had in the past, talk about our focus on redevelopment and how that can be used, and then talk about what comes next. So as far as the process is concerned, we'll start with what a comprehensive plan is. We know that some of you may be very familiar with this, some of you may not. A comprehensive plan is something that is required for cities that have zoning by Indiana state statute. Most states have this as part of their land use and zoning statute, but it's a guidance document. It's used by staff, but it's more than that, and especially in communities, it really is that flexible roadmap for the city, its residents. In places like Gary, a redevelopment section is really, really important. So as we started talking earlier this year about this process, that was something that was recommended in the 2019 comprehensive plan, and we wanted to do a really good quality deep dive. There's also been planning that's been done over the last several years. There were some grant-funded TOD plans for downtown Gary, for the Miller area that the RDA collaborated with City of Gary on back in 2023. In addition to that, the City of Gary recently worked through a charrette process with the University of Notre Dame, looking at the downtown area. We wanted to make sure all that good information was integrated into this plan, as well as the deep dive on the school sites that we've talked with you all about. So this is that blueprint for what kind of a place the community wants to become, and this helps guide the community towards their goals and objectives, and it's that framework for future growth and development. So why update the plan now? Gary has seen a lot of opportunities over the last year or so. As you all know, the state has made available resources to pay attention to the downtown area for blight elimination. There's also resources to build a new Gary Metro station, to build a new convention center. We're here in beautiful Miller, which NICD recently completed a brand new commuter train station. NDOT just redid 12 and 20. So there's been a lot of investment in the community, and that's going to continue. Comprehensive plans typically are updated every 5 to 10 years. So being a plan from 2019, it was about time. So this plan will help position Gary at the forefront of progress, serve as that strategic guide for conversations, not only with elected officials, but with the public, with investors, with developers, people that come to the table, so that the city can show this plan in meetings and say, this is the kind of place we want. If you're going to invest in our community, this is what we're looking for. It also will address emerging issues. There's policy recommendations in this plan, of course, for land use, which is required by statute, but also there's sections on redevelopment, which is something I mentioned, kind of unique to this plan, but something we're seeing more and more as a best practice. Transportation, nature, parks, infrastructure. And this articulates a bold vision for Gary as a leader from a regional perspective. So where we are and where we've been. So we started this back in February. So this has been a pretty quick process. This is an update. So we started out by reviewing the previous comprehensive plan. We reviewed all plans that had been done, both by the city and regionally, that impacted the city of Gary in the last 10 years. So there was a lot of inputs that went into this planning process. We also met with a number of groups, stakeholders, through this process. So that's what we did kind of late winter, spring. We did some engagement this summer. Some of you attended the redevelopment workshop. And here we are in phase 3, where we've updated the plan. We have what we call a working draft available for you all to review. We're continuing to refine things. You'll notice at the end, there's not an implementation chapter yet. We're working to write that. Your all's feedback is going to help us write that. So make sure you fill out those forms and either hand deliver it to City Hall or email it to Corey, and her information's available there. So what we've heard so far, the major themes around this plan are about expanding opportunities for housing, and AARP did a study recently looking at what's called missing middle housing in Gary, which is essentially traditional housing. It's walkable neighborhoods that we see all over the city, with a suite of housing from single family all the way to small multi-family buildings, duplexes, townhomes, walk-ups, things like that. So really expanding and continuing to expand the ability for new housing to be built in the city of Gary of all different kinds. And the redevelopment recommendations really spend a lot of time around that. In addition to that, in the land use section, we have some information about missing middle that really starts to tie land use and redevelopment to that missing middle opportunity. And as Corey mentioned, there's forthcoming zoning updates. They're going to allow that type of housing to occur. Other major themes, enhance access to essential services. So continuing to invest in the beloved 7 parks that were identified in the city's parks plans. Places like this, Marquette Park, the lakefront, but also really trying to strengthen the notion that Gary is a city of neighborhoods, and each of those neighborhoods need to have those essential services that make those neighborhoods whole. Revitalize local economies, continue to bring back population, bring back businesses, and tax base. It's really important to do so. And so every decision that we've made really has taken that lens into account. That's one of the major goals of the mayor and this administration. We've grounded the policy in data, so we're not only looking at this from a qualitative perspective, but a quantitative perspective as well. It's very important to be able to defend these decisions, and we understand that. Supporting mixed-use development, so the idea that we want good quality walkable development, especially in downtown areas, in neighborhoods, places like Miller, and where we have that access to both the South Shoreline and also GPT bus. And also green space, knowing the importance of green space and continued investment in those areas, as well as investment in youth and community spaces. And promoting environmental sustainability is kind of a through line as areas are redeveloped. We know that there's a lot of sensitive habitat within the community, so preserving that where possible. You'll notice in some of our redevelopment schemes, for instance, there's some areas that are reserved for conservation park. So that is a really important notion of the themes and some of the things that we've heard through the public process that are important to the community. Other things we heard in our May public workshop, which was very well attended, and I recognize a lot of folks from that workshop, so thank you for coming back. People wanted more single-family, owner-occupied homes. They want continued investments in the healthcare campus, the hospital, keeping and maintaining green space on sites, again, new housing, infill, so filling in those missing teeth, empty lots in neighborhoods. Businesses, in particular grocery stores, essential services to, again, provide that holistic, whole neighborhood suite of services that people need, as well as services for seniors, the homeless population, veterans, not only mixed-use retail for people to visit and spend money in, but for people to be employed by within the community. Affordable housing options that are also safe and of good quality. And families need spaces for kids to play. So those are some of the themes that really went into some of those other kind of strategic details that we discussed that we've heard from the public. So the plan framework is next. There were kind of 4 priorities that we looked at that also are tied to Mayor Melton's kind of 4 priorities in his administration. So stabilization, growth, quality of life, planning for the future. So we're looking again as we have these different sections of the plan at these 4 critical framework pieces. So stabilization is all about strengthening finances, retaining and building population, improving infrastructure, and eliminating blight. Quality of life is all about public safety, supporting families, youth, and seniors, supporting the homeless, addressing food insecurity, enhancing animal control. Growth is all about population and tax base, small businesses, and entrepreneurship, quality housing opportunities, job training opportunities, workforce development, building tourism, arts and culture in a way that's authentically Gary, planning for the future, so improving those environmental practices. This is the comprehensive citywide plan, so really this was a major priority of the mayor to get this plan done and get it done quickly. Again, revising the zoning code, which Corey and her team are working on, and making those major infrastructure improvements. So that gets us to the land use portion of the presentation. What we did is we took a look at the previous comprehensive plan, which I would say had a very complex approach towards land use. And the goal here was to create something that worked, but was simple, easy to understand, but still got results that the city wanted, that protected the city when making those land use decisions, and did so in a way that was flexible and allowed for the economic development that the city wanted. And so what we did was we looked at all the different land use categories in the previous plan. We understood areas where we would see most opportunities for economic development. We looked at some land use categories that really hadn't been used. So we made some tweaks, we simplified some things. We also looked at a number of neighborhood plans that were in the appendix of the previous comprehensive plan and tried to understand how those could again fit into these categories. And so what we landed on were 6 different distinct categories: residential, business, something called destination district, mixed use, manufacturing, and floodway and floodplain. And I'll explain each here in a moment. So residential, and kind of each of these slides break down on the left-hand side the characteristics, the main use and types of these, and on the right-hand side are images meant to just be descriptions of what this land use type is. So residential, again, going back to that notion of missing middle, it's that full suite of residential land use types that you find in a city like Gary. So you see on the on the left-hand side of the screen, my right as I'm facing it, up on the top there would be attached, single-family attached housing. On the bottom, townhomes with garages. Next to it, single-family detached. Above that, kind of historic bungalows on narrow lots. Above that, again, more kind of single-family attached or multifamily attached. So those are examples of housing that we already see in Gary, or we'd like to encourage here in Gary. And so the characteristics of this are we support neighborhoods where housing is that primary use. We accommodate a wide range of scales, from traditional walkable core neighborhoods to more lower density suburban areas and everything in between. And this may include single family homes, duplexes, townhomes, some more creative housing types like cottage courts, apartment buildings, and the development, and this is really important, the development should reflect and reinforce the character of the surrounding area and the neighborhoods while allowing for that redevelopment to occur. Next is business, and you can see on the screen there some of the images evocative of businesses that we would like to see, the scale of businesses in Gary. So the main use here, characteristics, it supports areas where employment, commerce, and services are those primary uses. Accommodates a broad range of scales, from small walkable neighborhood areas to auto-oriented commercial corridors and employment centers. May include retail shops, personal services, restaurants, commercial uses. And again, this development should reflect the surrounding context, fit in with the neighborhood. We want it to be pedestrian oriented, and in denser areas, it will take that mixed use character. The next category is that destination district, which is meant to be the most creative and flexible district. This is something new that we put in this plan, and part of that is because Gary has so many opportunity areas, and I'll use the example of the Hard Rock Casino, that, you know, come about every so often that they need that type of flexibility, and the city can work with those investors, those partners, to ensure that those appropriately fit in the context of the area that they're developed, but do so in a flexible way. And the intention is to mix public, nonprofit, commercial, and residential uses in an area. These are what I would call transformative or catalytic areas as well. Mixed use, you see this in a lot of your downtown areas. You see this in places like Miller Lake Street, where you have compact walkable areas where we want to have residential and business mixing together in a district to create vibrancy and destinations. This is also a big part of transit-oriented development, which we'd like to see in both the downtown area and the Miller area. This includes housing, retail, offices, restaurants, and a number of other uses. And this is, again, walkable, quality development that, again, provide opportunities for a variety of housing and business types. Next is manufacturing. I think you all know, Gary is home to a lot of manufacturing. Of course, there are legacy industrial and manufacturing uses that continue to invest and employ a lot of people and are vibrant. We are also seeing a lot of newer types of manufacturing and or industrial uses. And so really understanding what those types are and how they might redevelop, again, how they best fit into the context of where they are, and ensuring that, as we have this land use type, that proper buffering, proper, kind of connections, traffic mitigation, things like that are thought of. And then the last would be our floodway or floodplain area. These are our environmentally sensitive areas. Likely, these are places that may not develop or may have very sensitive development. Think of a building like this that occurs within a park setting. So that got us to our updated future land use map. And if you go to the plan, we have the current land use and the updated future land use. So you can kind of see the current land use and then what we recommend here in the future. When we talk about future land use, it doesn't mean that the uses that occur today on those properties can't continue. It just means that as those properties may redevelop in the future, that this is a guidepost for what the community would like to see in this area. And so the effort was to try to simplify this in a way that was more easily understood, more user-friendly, and really reinforced opportunities for redevelopment, which is the next section here. So I know this map is kind of hard to read. There's a much clearer version there. We also have in the plan a couple of zoom-ins. But this covers the entire city. What we did is we looked at all the different plans that have been done over the various 10 years, as well as worked very closely with city staff, redevelopment, and other stakeholders, including GHA, to understand where those publicly owned properties are, where those TIF and transit development districts are, where opportunities for redevelopment are in the city that could be transformative to the community. And the idea here is that now the city has everything in one place so that they can start having constructive conversations in a cohesive way with people that want to invest in the city of Gary. So zooming in on some of these, you'll see we have these in the plan, but some zoom in maps in the Gary Metro and the Gary Miller area. As part of the state legislation around the train stations because there's a train station in the downtown area and in Miller. There are special transit development districts. They function like tax increment districts, but they also collect incremental local income tax for people that live and work in the district in addition to property tax for reinvestment in that district. And this is a collaboration with the Northwest Indiana Regional Development Authority. In the downtown area, we evaluated and incorporated a couple different concepts that were recently developed for ways that the downtown could redevelop over time. So on this side of the screen, you'll see the TOD plan that was developed as part of the federally funded TOD planning grant back in 2023. Shows kind of a new station as well as kind of the core of that downtown area being redeveloped in a transit-oriented way. On the other side of the screen, similar, a sketch from the Notre Dame downtown charrette. I think the idea is that these two concepts give the city a lot of flexibility in how these areas redevelop over time, but they're both supportive of the same land use, which is a walkable center. The next one looks at the Broadway corridor and the context of Broadway as the spine of the core of the city of Gary. And the idea is that we continue to make investments in Broadway from an infrastructure, from a streetscape perspective, set the table and the front door for development and redevelopment along that entire corridor to bring back the vibrancy of Broadway. And that was recommended in both of the plans that have been produced for the area. We've included recommendations for that. Here in the Miller area, we've included recommendations for transit-oriented development off Lake Street and how that could be transformative in continuing to invest in the vibrancy of this area. We've incorporated planning for the Emerson neighborhood, the Holy Angels neighborhood that were created as part of the recent charrette. And the idea is, again, to highlight opportunities for continued reinvestment in these areas as well. Then we get to the school sites, and you all helped shape a lot of the recommendations for these areas. First one we'll look at is Brunswick here, and we're recommending residential type uses for this. So if you go through the plan, we have not only kind of a layout here showing where potential roadways could go in, how they maybe could be split up into a block type pattern, but we have example images of the types of development that we recommend. Horace Mann is the next one we'll look at, and this one is recommended for mixed use as well as medical office type development in connection with the existing hospital and continued investments in that area. Ernie Pyle is recommended for kind of a blended approach towards residential. You can see kind of the block layout there, connecting and reconnecting to the neighborhood grid. And this could be a blend of townhomes and small kind of garden style apartments. So the idea is that you could have a blend of different types of homes in this area. The next would be Norton, and you can see there's opportunities here for additional residential development. The park area could be reinvested in as that development occurs, and this could be a great place for townhomes. Emerson, the idea here is that you could have small scale, single family, what we call cottage court style housing. So again, reconnecting the grid and putting in those housing options. Dunbar Pulaski, options for kind of a lot of different types of housing, keeping the track, but putting in kind of a suite of different types of housing ranging from single family to duplex to a small amount of multifamily or adaptive reuse of some existing buildings. Franklin, opportunities for some student housing, apartments, as well as some park space. Etna, opportunities to preserve some of the dune habitat, as well as some residential, likely single family. Wirt School, opportunities for dense mixed-use housing, and then for multifamily apartments. This is a place where we think there could be significant density and developer interest. The Naval facility, while not a school, we think that this could be a great opportunity for a hospitality use, a hotel, a destination. Nobel, we believe that there could be a really unique play for cottage-style single-family housing units that could kind of appropriately work with kind of the dune kind of habitat and feel in that area. So those are the sites that we wanted to highlight today. Talk about next steps now. So for tonight, we will hang around for a little while. And if you'd like to walk around the room and review the large printouts, we will be present and we can answer questions, but we're not going to have public comments. And then you're more than welcome to take a handout packet. And Corey would like those by August 6th. So I'll turn it back to Corey.
Thank you. My hope is that you will see some of the ideas that you presented over the last couple months represented in this plan. As Aaron mentioned, this is a plan update, so there was a lot of other foundational information that we started out with. Moving forward, this document and the updated zoning code will serve as our foundation as we move forward in a concerted effort to bring vacant to vibrant and make something really exciting in our community over the next 10 years. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we're going to be taking comments over the next 3 weeks. You can do that by emailing zoning@gary.gov. You can go to gary.gov/planning and then go to the projects tab. There you'll find a draft of the whole document, and there is a Google form where you can do online fill out input as well. So, and of course our phone number is 219-881-1332, and the lovely Mr. Gaines over here will be the one that will help answer your questions, collect them. Also, I want to point out our zoning administrator, Ms. Sylvia Martin. This will be the team that collects our information over the next 3 weeks, and then we are going to be pencils down on August 8th because we want to present an updated draft to you at least 10 days before the public hearing. So the public hearing is August 21st. So that means we will be rolling out draft number 2, the final draft, theoretically, on August 11th, Monday, August 11th, okay? Then you will have 10 days to review that, and then come to the Plan Commission meeting August 21st, 3 p.m. here, and it will be a formal Plan Commission meeting. We will have at least one other agenda item that night, and or that afternoon. And we will do the public hearing, and then the commissioners can decide if they want to act on it or continue to carry over the public hearing to a special meeting or the next month. So we'll be flexible after that. But those are the upcoming dates. I know that it was downpouring when we got here, so thank you all for coming out. We really do appreciate seeing your faces and your interest. Enjoy your evening.